We have news from Harley-Davidson, which at one point in time would have been only exciting for me, but now Alex is also a Harley-Davidson owner, so it's exciting for both of us, isn't it?
It is. I am part of the dark side now, or I've come to the light, maybe. I don't know which way it goes, but I'm a Harley owner. Yeah, I'm a Harley owner, and so... yeah, of course I'm going to be excited about the new Harley news.
Yeah, and this is pretty interesting, actually, because we're talking about the 2023 CVO Street Glide and Road Glide, and there have been rumors swirling around these bikes because of some documents that have been leaked, so we've known a little bit that this was coming, but now we have official confirmation from Harley-Davidson and some new details about these CVOs. And if you don't know, CVO stands for Custom Vehicle Operations. These are the cream of the crop of Harley-Davidson's big bikes. So it's pretty exciting to see that there are new ones incoming. They say all new.
Yeah, CVO's a really cool thing that Harley does, and I think pretty unique to the brand. And if you go take a look at some of what goes on with these CVO bikes, just an incredible amount of detail and precision and workmanship put into everything, from the way they're put together and the paint and the pinstriping. Yeah. They look incredible, and every year they change them up pretty drastically, so that they're different year to year. Gets people excited about the new bikes, and yeah, it's not just new paint this year. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, there is a lot to talk about. And two, in talking about what CVO does and just Harley-Davidson in general, I really don't think they get enough credit for the fit and finish, quality of the paint. There's a lot of things that they do really well, and it's even amplified on these CVO bikes. Now, like I said, there have been rumors around these bikes coming, and the full details, specifications, everything, those are going to be announced on June 7th of 2023, so coming up fairly soon. And that's going to be debuting at the Harley-Davidson Homecoming and 120th anniversary event, so more information coming up pretty soon, but they have confirmed a number of things that we now know for sure, one of which being that there is a Milwaukee 8 121 engine coming with variable valve timing. So before, it was variable valve timing on the new Revolution motors, like what's in the new Sportster and what is in the Pan Am, but it looks like variable valve timing is coming to the bigger bikes as well.
Yeah, and that's huge for Harley-Davidson. That's really big news. That Revolution Max motor was such a game changer when it first came out.
Oh yeah.
I think everyone in the industry agreed on that. And it's Harley-Davidson's a brand that's known for kind of their ancient-like engines, and to get more modern technology and see constant improvements while still, keeping the big V-twin feel and not going too crazy in a totally different engine configuration.
Yeah.
It's good to see.
And now there's probably going to be a lot of faithfuls, Street Glide and Road Glide, and just in general CVO faithful people that are concerned to hear that it's a VVT coming to the new bikes, because when the Sportster and the Pan America came out, that Revolution Max engine really... it doesn't have the same character as the old EVO motor that was in older Sportsters. It sounds very, very different. It sounds a lot like an import bike motor. It really doesn't sound like a Harley-Davidson, but it's really, really an incredibly capable engine. And if you want to see what those engines are like compared, check out one of our most recent videos where I rode two different Sportster 1200s with EVO motors back-to-back with one of the new Revolution Max Sportsters, and you can kind of see how different the character of those engines are. But as part of the teasers coming about these CVOs, they actually released it's a pretty short video clip. You don't get to see a whole lot, but you do get to hear a bit of the exhaust note, and it sounds like these bikes still have the classic Harley rumble, so maybe no cause for concern yet, but that remains to be seen.
Yeah, they definitely need that rumble. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, so hopefully in the production bike, we still get that classic Harley-Davidson feel, because especially on these bigger bikes, I think the Sports are taking kind of a turn into a more modern, aggressive naked bike, or something totally new like the Pan America. not quite having that character isn't necessarily a deal breaker, but on these bigger bikes, it needs to have that classic Harley-Davidson rumble.
Yeah, especially on a big bagger like this, and with these two models, the Street Glide and the Road Glide, the front fairing is just so recognizable on these bikes, and you connect that with the sound and the feeling and the rumbling sensation you get out of the older motors. So yeah, it's definitely something they need to carry on.
Yeah.
And speaking of those front fairings and the design of these bikes, it's pretty new look for what Harley-Davidson is used to in the past.
Yeah, it is. It looks like they walk the balance between modernizing those classic fairings, the shark nose and the bat wing front fairings that people have known for such a long time. They're modernized, but they're still recognizable as a Road Glide and a Street Glide. You would walk up to those bikes and you would immediately be able to tell what they are. You wouldn't mistake it for any other motorcycle. But the lighting is a lot of really what makes these new fairings stand out.
Yeah, all LED. We went to more of a shaped headlight design. And you've got these little LED bars that you can see in the fairing there. And same thing on the shark nose fairing. I mean, definitely similar shape. It's not going to turn with the bars just like the older model, but a completely new LED lighting setup in that fairing, and I think it looks really good.
Yeah, and it's cool that they've integrated the lighting. So like on the Street Glide, instead of you having separate turn signals, the turn signals are now integrated into that fairing. It gives it a little bit of a cleaner design. And on top of that, Harley-Davidson is also saying that there's going to be all new suspension and all new infotainment, and there are going to be 2 separate paint and finish options for these bikes. And that's really all of the details that they've given us.
Yeah, so obviously one of the paint schemes we're looking at here, from the looks of it, looks like sort of a matte gray tank finish, and then different grays, blacks, silvers, very monotone, sinister.
Very modern, kind of clean, not too bright and in your face.
But yeah, June 7th, we'll have much more information on the full specs of this.
Yeah.
Hopefully some more deeper information on the updates to this motor, pricing, availability, all that stuff.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting too to see, well, A, what they do with suspension, but also where they end up going with this all-new infotainment system, because Harley-Davidson has done a surprisingly good job with a lot of their electronics and infotainment systems on bikes like the Sportster and like the Pan Am, and even the older Road Glide, Street Glide infotainment system was also a really solid setup.
That was one of the biggest takeaways for me when I rode the Pan Am was, wow, this screen is easy to use and just dirt simple, easy to control. It's also a touch screen, if I remember right, so you can go through and just kind of tap things. Yeah, they killed that system. So.
Yeah, and it's not to say that their system doesn't have some clunky features, but honestly, what motorcycle infotainment system doesn't have parts of it that are clunky, like BMW's design with the collar on the handlebar, and same thing with Ducati systems. I mean, at a certain point, it's difficult to get a really easy to use, intuitive system in a motorcycle. Most of them take a little bit of time to get used to, but Harley-Davidson has done a good job in the past, so it'll be interesting to see what this all-new system is. And it's also cool to see that there's some innovation and refreshing going on in this category, because this is a category of motorcycle that's kind of in a new renaissance of sorts, partly because of King of the Baggers. It's been a really popular race series, and so I think there's some renewed interest in baggers.
Totally. I think King of the Baggers was huge for this style of bike, and granted, King of the Baggers is... They're not taking showroom bikes like this.
No, these are very different.
Taking them out on the racetrack. They're fully built, and they're race bikes. They've got all the racing parts on it. Like Indian's offering their King of the Baggers race bike in a limited production run, about 90 or so units. It's like $95,000 or something. So it's ridiculously expensive. But I think one of the big complaints with that series is that they're not using the production bikes. So one of the things they're adding this season in Moto America for the King of the Baggers series is production bikes. So they're still going to race their crazy expensive built out baggers, but they're also going to do a few races where they take completely factory off the showroom floor bikes and race them around racetracks. And I don't know a better way to sell a motorcycle than doing that.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I've actually had a chance to watch something similar up close because Kyle Wyman, who is one of Harley-Davidson's factory riders, he was at the event that I got to go on for the Road Glide and the Street Glide ST when those bikes came out. And it got almost no views. Pretty much nobody watched it. But one of my favorite videos that we've ever put on the channel was something that is way different from what we usually do. But I strapped 2 cameras to a factory. I can't remember if it was a Road Glide or a Street Glide, but one of their factory STs. Strapped 2 cameras to it and told Kyle Wyman, just go rip around the track. And this whole video is just going to be footage of you hauling on the track on a factory bike. And so you can watch him and the way he rides even a factory one of these bikes, and you can just hear him scraping pegs pretty much every turn. And when he got back from that, his face was so lit up. He had so much fun doing that. What was surprising is I got to chat to him at length, and I asked him, how different is the race bike from these factory bikes? And he said, you'd be surprised actually how similar they ride in a lot of ways. Obviously those race bikes, like you said, are crazy modified, but they still hold a lot of similarities. So if you want to see a really cool video, go check out that video with Kyle Wyman, because that one was really, really cool.
Yeah, and then if you want to deep dive on like the race bike, we also did a walk around at where was that? SEMA?
We did a walk around at SEMA, and I also did a walk around with Kyle Wyman and talked to him about his race bike.
We've got a ton of bagger content, so if you want to see the performance side of these big heavy motorcycles, we've got some stuff for you to
As crazy as it sounds, there actually is a performance side to them. So it's pretty cool stuff, and it's just nice to see that Harley-Davidson is bringing some real substantial updates to these bikes. I mean, a VVT motor, that's a big step.
Yeah, huge step, and like you said, I'm excited to see what that infotainment system is like. I'm crossing my fingers that it's the same system as on the Pan Am, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And yeah, we'll have to see. We don't have the full spec sheet, so we don't know if like brakes are different, suspension. We know it's new, but we don't know what it is. So yeah, just stay tuned, and we'll have much more info coming to you in about the first week of June.
Yeah, June 7th. Stay tuned, and hopefully the folks over at Harley can get us on one of these bikes as soon as possible so we can bring you a full review. Let us know what you all think in the comments below. Is a VVT motor in one of these bikes exciting, or are you worried? And I mean, I'm excited, so we'll have to see how it actually rides.
Yeah, we'll bring that to you as soon as we can. Check out alltfl.com so you don't miss any stories in the motorcycle world. We will catch you in the next video.